Boom. Reminisce, reminisce, reminisce. You know what I'm saying? Every week. Yeah, man. We
Yes,
don't
yes.
want we don't want no copyright infringement. But until we get that Pete Rock cosign, which I'm putting in the universe that we will, everything will be blessed, man. But yes, man, Reminisce Show, man. We here, you know, every Tuesday, man, carrying on the traditions of Sankofa, man, to go back and to collect what we may have forgotten, and just to understand that ain't nothing wrong with that, because sometimes we need to go back in order to move forward. And I just love how, you know, it always, that theory, that concept continuously shows its face, and it's a continuous reminder of what we need to be doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, we got to go back in order to go forward.
Go forward and heal. Absolutely. And life is a circle. Life is a spiral. Life is nature moves, and the seasons rotate. So definitely going back to go forward and moving in a circular but upward pattern is the way that real life elevates and operates. But speaking of going back, like,
talk to me, man.
We got to go back. Well, you know, should we do a quick check-in, man?
Yeah, how you doing? Man, as always, man, because, you know, like that's one of the you know, foundational points. You know, we always got to check in with ourselves, because sometimes we're in a world where everything's just so performative, and we got to keep going. But sometimes we got to, you know, breathe a little and just be like, yo, like you good, fam? Like, how you doing? Like, what's up? You know, and I think these are, you know, indigenous ways of being, African ways of being, you know, humanity ways of being. So that being said, how are you doing?
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing all right. I'm surviving. My body is healthy, but my head is a little stressed, and my heart is a little heavy. Just in the trenches out here, just trying to find people who want to do the work. You know, the world is changing. It's kind of opening up again, and slowly the shit is transitioning. So it's got to be time to really just get back to work. I'm seeing, actually my boy sent me, just an hour ago, he sent me a flyer for a Dipset and a Lox concert in Virginia. And it was, he's just like, yo, imagine, like, rap shows are slowly starting to come back. Like, people are going on stage again, and we're gonna get into it into the verses. I saw the verses, and they weren't separate. There was a crowd of people. So yeah, you know, just trying to get ready for what we lost. But, you know, obviously we can't do it the way we used to. We have to do it in a new way, and we gotta go back to the old concerts, but do it in a new, futuristic, healthy manner, and make sure that we're not in a fourth wave once it happens. So
indeed, yeah, man.
But how you doing? Man?
Yeah, man. I feel like I'm doing well. You know, like, all things considering. You know, I just feel like a lot of people that I'm close to are really going through a lot of, you know, significant changes. You know, a lot of things are being presented to their door, and they have to you know, face and confront. And you know, sometimes I just have to sit back and I just look at the world in general, and I just see all of these, like, you know, for lack of a better word, just like elephants in the room, you know, that are just coming to the forefront. And I'm like, there's something in the stars, man. If you're in astrology, you know, like, this is like Mercury retrograde right now. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of other things that come into that just bring up certain things that you know, bring certain you know, things to our forefront that require attention, that require you know, evolving or whatnot. So just kind of dealing with that, and then that has, like, allowed me to, like, really, you know, reflect on just myself, and then what I need to do for, like, self-care and balance. And, you know, just having these check-ins and whatnot are definitely helpful, because it helps to know that, you know, like, while we're in these, like, isolated spaces, you know, we're still, you know, progressing and creating, like, you know, meaningful content. And, you know, I think the more that we put out this type of energy of just being authentic and striving, you know, coming from a place of humanity, you know, it also encourages others to want to do the same. You know what I mean? So that's what it is, though. But, you know, things are blessed. You know, all things considering. You know, we can always look at the negatives, but you know, I feel like I'm a progressive mind. I feel like I'm always looking for solutions. You know, I'm always looking for the truth, and sometimes, like, seeking the truth is uncomfortable and, you know, confrontational. You know, so I don't let that deter, you know, because as we've mentioned many times, you know, the truth is the truth today, 6,000 years ago, 6,000 years to come, and you know, I'm just reminded of Sankofa in every aspect. You know, we got our brother coming through. We're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in our indigenous communities. But as you mentioned, like, you know, this is the 100th anniversary of something. So I want you to bring that up, man, for me before we bring in our brother, man. I see you just plugged in with us.
Word up, word up. Well, it was actually officially yesterday. Actually, like for
Right.
sure, 100 years ago, May 31st, 1921 was the original Greenwood, aka Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street Massacre, and
can you break
yeah,
that down for those, like, you know, a real quick summary for those who may not know what that's about?
Super duper quick summary is the most affluent, thriving Black Wall Street, Black community in America at the time. They had tailors and they had everything. This is a self-contained community, multiple millionaires. They were doing very well, but it was still a time of racism and KKK in America and bullshit. So a young Black man, 19 years old or 17, walked into an elevator, tripped on the elevator, like little footstep thing, walking into an elevator, fell, unfortunately grabbed the elevator operator's arm just to keep his standing. And it was a white woman. So she felt that it was, she felt that she got attacked. A Black man grabbed her. So she goes running out of the elevator, tells the cops. The young Black boy gets arrested, and they take him to jail. And this kid is like, I didn't assault her. I just tripped and fell. So he's in jail. And then a whole bunch of a group of Black people were like, yo, this is horrible. The newspaper actually printed, there's going to be a lynching tonight. They were going to take care of this kid. And so a bunch of Black people go down to the courthouse and with guns, and they're like, we want to defend this kid. We want to take him out. This is garbage. A white man comes up, says, yo, well, you Black guy, you shouldn't have a gun. He's like, yo, you can't tell me I can't have a gun. A shot goes off, and then all hell breaks loose. A whole bunch of white people came down and murdered 300 Black people. They burned down, they looted the community, they burned down everything. There was 2 or 3 white people who were killed in the massacre, but it was generally history. Right. The news said 37 Black people were killed, but our people say around 300 were murdered. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, and it was like 15 or 17, maybe it was around 20 something square blocks burned to the ground. And it was one of the greatest, if not the greatest massacre of Black people in American history. And you know, it's just something that psychologically sits with a lot of our people, which is why projects are so poor, or Black people feel like they can't economically get up to the levels. Like, yo, anytime that we try to build something, it gets burned down, it gets taken over, it gets crushed. So Tulsa is kind of like not the very first, but maybe one of the first and worst atrocities of, you know, Black self-empowerment getting crushed by Babylon. So yeah, it was a little longer than I meant it to be, but yeah, I've been studying it for a while, and some of those details get left out, especially literally just like George Floyd gets murdered over a counterfeit, quote unquote, $20 bill. Literally the smallest things in the world can set off massive riots, massacres. It's just one little boy tripped and just fell and grabbed a woman by her arm. Whoops, I fell down. She was like, you assaulted me. Murder. So
no, it's wild, man. And like, you know, this history cannot be forgotten, you know. And again, like the residue, like the ripple effects of this type of, like, you know, trauma still exists to this day. You know, like people often say, well, it happened a long time ago and whatnot, but like, no, man, like those effects are still here. You know, like it's not, you know, so it's wild though. But like this is what it's all about, man. I'm gonna bring in our brother, man, you know, because we got J Robi in the house, man. Let me
J Robi.
Let me plug in the brother, man. Peace, man. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's up? I'm just tuning in. I'm listening. I just to chime in and just like, yeah, I was just figuring out the app and how this works. So
no worries, man. But you're here. I appreciate you, man. Yeah,
man. First off, I'll go by saying Ani Buju Tanse Sego Wache. My name is, as you know, J Robi. I'm not going to tell you my government name because that doesn't matter.
No doubt.
But my
Yeah.
spirit name is Shadowhawk, and I'm Dene from the nation of the Treaty 8 in Stony Rapids, Saskatchewan. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm from. But where I'm at right now, I'm in the side of my house here in Sky Barrio.
Okay.
Anyways,
Peace.
oh, I mean,
Thank you for being here.
yeah, it's I mean, it's an honor, first of all, to at a short notice. I'm in the middle of doing other things, but I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I just wanted to say, yeah, thank you for inviting me on the show and
Sure, brother.
speak on topics that are obviously very like really real and prevalent in things that are going in our society, especially when it comes to art and culture and telling stories and sharing those stories and in speaking on narratives that are very like, you know, close to us in our communities and our circles and what we do with those with that platform. Like, yeah, a platform, even just having a virtual live video is a blessing, you know. So we're utilizing these gifts that we have. Anyways,
No,
without
Get it.
you know, so geez.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this is
the
something
floor is
that
how have
you
you
yours,
been?
brother.
talk about. Like, there's something you want to ask me. Hopefully I could answer it to my best ability. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
we're here for your thoughts. You know, thank you very much for blessing us with your presence and just teaching. I just what you said there, just teaching us your tribe and your culture is that's what we're here to share. But Logic was so lucky to just cross paths with you, even if it's short notice. It's a blessing that we could just connect for a moment. But you know, there's been something in the news that just happened to all people, human people, but specifically Indigenous. And you know, Logic, I don't know if you want to lead it in, but you know, we just wanted to see what your perspective was on it.
Well, I mean, this is
I mean,
something that's
Logic, do you want to? I mean,
yeah, no,
do
I
you
mean,
just want to announce
yeah.
what happened? I mean, some people should know,
Well,
but
I mean,
if
yeah,
they don't
like
know,
it's been pretty much like everywhere and whatnot. You know, I know out in BC, I can't remember the exact.
this is just one case of
Yeah,
one one residential school,
right,
right? There's so many of them, right? We already know what we're talking about, right?
right.
It goes without saying. Like, the reason for me being called in, and then just like, because I am a product of residential schools. I'm a product of the colonialism. I'm not gonna lie, like, yeah, my family history is rooted in it. I mean, like, my late grandmother, my Setsuna, her name was Lucia Robillard. My last name is French, and when those French, you know, mercenary,
colonizers, yeah, don't worry,
when
say whatever you want, brother.
you know, it's a hard topic to speak on, like, just immediately, but like, you know, there's a moment of silence, I feel, that needs to happen, and there's definitely, like, the community, like the world knows about this, you know, and it's very well hidden in the history, in the context of what it means to even be like a Canadian or whatever. And like, people celebrate, like, in a matter of a month from now, let's say July 1st, there's gonna be people celebrating their patriotism and love for their country and a flag. But a flag is like it's only a piece of cloth or whatever, but it's this symbolic thing that, you know, that it represents is very, it is rooted in genocide. It's rooted in invasion. It's rooted in assimilation. It's rooted in just taking over a whole entire peoples of a nation. And so, you know, as an indigenous man and also like as an indigenous practitioner of hip hop, word, the voice was like, they want to silence us, but we can't be silent. And you know what? I've been silenced before, multiple times.
What do you mean by that?
Well, just there's also lateral violence in communities, in the intergenerational trauma and things that have happened over the course of so many generations, and the how it's transpired to this passing down of like all the hurt and abuse. I don't know. I feel like I'm going off on a tangent here.
Please,
it's okay, man.
I want to answer the first question, but I just feel like I'm just kind of trailing because I'm not fully like prepared for this. You know, it's just
honestly, it's just speaking from the heart, and that's exactly like what you're doing.
Trailing on my thoughts and my heart and my emotions around a lot of things that you know are here right now, and with culture, when it comes to culture, like, you know, I'm gonna talk about Ernie Panacoli too.
Yes, so brother.
He says that hip hop is not a culture because cultures take care of people. Hip hop is not taking care of hip hop.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You know what I mean? Brother. So when we say hip hop culture, are we talking about various cultures or people that are just in a circle and we look at each other and be like, you know, when you give the head nod to somebody, be like, okay, I see you, right? Yeah, I feel your vibe. That you know, hip hop is comprised of elements, right, and hip hop has various ancient histories as well. When it comes to a drum, that's the DJ. When it comes to all the dances, when it comes to, let's say if I threw something on this wall right now, you know, that'd be like the petroglyphs, the hieroglyphs. That's the graffiti, right?
Yep.
Me speaking to you right now is words. We're using the context of the settler colonizers' language, but we're using it in power. So I have the vernacular to tell you something. Just, you know, dropping a quick 1-2 on some bars. You will know all about that, Mindbender. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
yeah, brother.
Yeah. And you know, so we have this gift. We have a gift of storytelling, telling our narratives and our stories and our ways that speak truth and then give light to the darkness and the things that people don't want to talk about.
Indeed. That's the space that we're trying to create. Yeah.
So that was what happened over there, and it happened in a time maybe way long before us. And you know, we still have that intergenerational, like you know, that context, that pathway that the predecessors before us gave us. You know, they didn't die, they didn't go away in vain. We're the grandchildren, you know, and our grandchildren. I don't know. I'm just, you know what I'm saying, though.
you're
Yeah,
speaking
no,
from the spirit, man.
we are living it. Just like you're the echo, we're all the echoes of our ancestors. All of us, literally, Indigenous, African, all of us here, in every part of culture and like family. And I just one of my thoughts about when I heard about that is, yo, this is horrible. 215 children. But this should just remind people that there, as you said, there are more schools and there's more ground to unearth and there's more justice to do still. It's not like this isn't ancient history. This quote unquote ancient history just happened a week ago. How was it like,
Uh,
So
we're talking less than 200 years ago, 150 years ago. Like,
yeah. And yeah, I thank you very much for talking about that, not having pride in the Canada flag, because why would you, if people want to be like, oh, Canada's better than America, we didn't have a slavery like America. It's like, no, yeah, we did, but you don't know that part. But also, like, look at the massacre of Indigenous folks, what that is still happening to this day. Like, maybe, no, we don't even know if statistically, probably more Indigenous people died on Canadian soil than African people. But like, it's not a competition, but it's just both of them were killed, and we're still finding Indigenous bodies in 2021. And yo, there's so much more they deserve. Y'all deserve more land, more money, more power, more political representation. There's so much more to do. So like, we're so not done
Well,
fixing the
I kind of want
past.
to. I kind of want to go back to something that J. Robi mentioned about, like, culture, and that a culture is supposed to like take care of its people. So when I think of like hip hop culture, and you're absolutely right. When I think of Canadian culture, it has me really questioning a lot of things. Like, are we really taking care of the people? Coming to this, like, this realization of these children, like these babies, that were discovered. It was like the first time in my life that I've always had conflicting feelings with July 1st, Canada Day, and all that, because I know what it represents, like colonization, and me being born here. I still benefit off of colonization, just from being here, so I'm not exempt. So that means that I have a responsibility as well. Everybody does. This isn't just like an Indigenous concern. This is a humanity concern.
It's human.
But seeing
Just
these
human culture.
hearing these about these children now, it was the first time I looked at the Canadian flag, and I started seeing the parallels with like the Confederate flag. I couldn't look at it as something else but that. When July 1st comes around, it's going to be very uncomfortable. Like, I've always had issues with that, because I'm conflicted. It's like, how can we be proud Canadians and supports when knowing very well that there is like injustice and genocide like happening right now? You know what I mean? Like, and it's been happening, like long before like we immigrated to Canada, for opportunities and better lives. But what are the necks of people that we're standing on, that we have to like really consider and look at ourselves now? Like, us as Black folks, that we had our wave last year, when people were confronted with anti-Black racism and what have you. Like, when the world kind of stopped with George Floyd and all that, and be like, what can we do
now too?
Right. But now we're at this new wave where it's like, no, we need to do the right thing. There needs to be reconciliation. There needs to be time for healing. And this is something that Indigenous peoples have been showing us, despite all of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What would you, J. Robi? I know this might be really hard, and you might not have the whole answer for sure. Like, this is just kind of an open question, but what would, like, I'm just thinking, what would you like, or what do you think as your community would like to see done to the government or by the government when this happens? Like, do you want to see like a certain punishment or education, or like keep going to find more schools, or what do you think should be the response to this kind of thing? Just
Land back.
I don't. It could, you know,
Land
you might not know.
back. Land back. Land back.
Okay.
Land back,
Yeah.
yeah.
No. Say that. Say that.
That land back, yo, like straight up. You know, true indeed.
I come from a very good community. I can go down to the lake and drink water right out from the lake. That's how good my land is. But when it comes to I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of brainwashing going on.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. And the word reconciliation is a term. It's a pretty term to basically say, like, I'm sorry, but I'm not really sorry. Please forgive me, but I'm still going to continue to do what I'm doing anyways.
Perfect.
Appreciate the correction.
Is a whack ass fucking term.
I appreciate the correction, yo. Thank you for that.
No, it's just a way
Agreed.
for them to see. So I'm not really like buying a lot of what I hear a lot. So I have to think with like my pineal gland and my third eye, and I have to dig deep inside to see, like, you know, there's people out there in the community that are very loud, and you know, they're very like out there. They want to be the voice of the people. But like, okay, so we're talking about like revolutionary thinking and doing and just proactiveness.
Right.
I don't give a shit to go to a fucking rally anymore.
Right.
It's like tickling like the feet of the belly of the fucking beast. Like nothing's gonna happen from that. It's like, okay, go out there with some signs and go out there and just chant and just say something. Yes, awareness is one, educating the masses is one, but like, did we really win that? No, we didn't. So I'm sort of like, I don't know. You asked me a lot of things. You both asked me a bunch of things. I don't even know how to answer these, but like I don't have the answers to it, but
it's great.
I know,
you know,
that,
just talking about it is great.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a shared common struggle with so many peoples and walks of life from different nations. And I'm not just talking here on Turtle Island. I'm talking about stolen from Africa, stolen from Canada. It's just like, you know, Canada's not even a real. It's like it's just a name of that they put to you know, separate and just, yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that right now.
The colonize and divide, you know.
That's another topic, but being on the topic though, can you rephrase? Can you break it down, your question again? Because I need to think about that answer. Because I have been kind of like going around it a little bit.
Well, I mean, so I think like to rephrase, you know what I mean? Like other words that come to mind is like, you know, restoring integrity and accountability. You know, I think that's more like accurate, you know, like what does that look like? You know, because there has to be some accountability, and integrity has been lost. You know, there hasn't been any integrity, like even from like the first agreements when, you know, colonizers came here to this land, like, you know, like that hasn't been, you know, like kept, like the integrity has been lost and there hasn't been accountability, you know. And in order, I think, for us to remember humanity and to get to a place of understanding that we are all one, you know, which is all like, you know, African teachings, indigenous teachings, you know, like about that it's, you know, it has to be rooted in truth. You know, like we can't lie to ourselves. We can't lie to each other. We have to be aligned with truth. Like word is bond. Like, you know, these are, when I look at the intersections of like indigenous, you know, culture and hip hop too, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's why there's a lot of like, you know, parallels that are so seamless, because they have those foundations, right? So like the integrity, you know, the accountability, you know, that's what we're talking about.
Yes. How do we make the government accountable and punish them with integrity, or have them respond with integrity?
Go write a letter to Devil's Hills, yo.
Where
Parliament Hills.
It's also not just like government, but just everyday people. You know what I mean? Like just like the general attitudes towards like, you know, indigenous folks and just having just general like respect. You know, like how do we connect back to like the land? You know, the people. Like again, like the indigenous teachings. You know that you all have been super patient with us and showing and willing to teach over and over again.
It's about resiliency. There's sayings I can't really quote it right now, but like it's like you hit me with something, I'll hit you twice as harder, or something like that, you know, or just like the scars that you left, they remain. So that's there's something I was getting to a point. It's just kind of my brain's kind of
no worries, man.
Kind of
it's okay, man.
But you're talking about accountability and integrity. I mean, the people who run this country talk about that all the time, but are they really doing that?
No,
I mean,
exactly.
So the leadership of this ship, the ship that's gonna fucking sink one day, you know.
Yeah.
It's real, man. Because things have to align. You know, things have to align. You know, and right now things are like not aligned with integrity, and that's.
Pretty sure Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau and like all these other, you know, John Tory, they have an agenda that they're playing very well in, and they know, like, they're just sucking each other off for all the news for us to be like, okay, all right, because it's in the news, I'm gonna believe everything that I hear. I'm like, no. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
There's
so much
shit.
Sorry, yeah. There's so much misinformation and irresponsibility and lack of integrity. And one of the most powerful statements that I've seen anybody make from this whole situation is somebody just said, yeah, well, what do you think the media and government reaction would have been if they found a mass grave of 215 white children's bodies?
Come on.
Like, and I'm just like, honestly, I hate to fucking say it and think about killing white kids, but straight up, like literally, this didn't even make the front. It didn't even make the front page of news. Like every newspaper in the country should have been, yo, this is insane. Like it should have been front. And it's just kind of like a thing that's just kind of floating around a bit word of mouth. And it's like, yo, this is ridiculous. So if it was any other culture, like,
no, you're absolutely right. We already know it would have been over. Like, you know what I mean? It would have been like a state of emergency. It would have been wild, you know. And this is just like the you know the image or the mindset of like the value of life or certain life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? I see your mask right there, man. That's what's up, yo. You know what I mean? Like
what
it's
does it say?
It said fight racist scum. You know, like that should be on everybody's agenda, right?
All day, every day.
And, you know, and I think he's saying that really politely too. You know, but you know, it's crazy. You know, like where we're at right now. But you know, like I want to, you know, kind of go back to like, you know, again, like the intersections of like hip hop. You know, oh, are we frozen? It's kind of a cool screenshot though.
Yeah, that's sick.
Well, there we go. Are we back?
Go.
Yeah, I want to talk about like the intersections of hip hop. You know what I mean? Because you yourself, been involved in the culture from time. I know you as a b-boy. I even got some footage. You mind if I play some footage real quick? Of you doing your thing?
Sure. Hope it's not whack.
Yeah, you're like, what clip are you going to play, man? But here, let me just see what we got here. Let me just a little something for those people, so they can see while I go on.
Genius. That was the thing he did with the brother. Yeah. Oh, J Bro. Oh, that one, that old school shit. This was
You're killing that, man. That's amazing.
That was J Rebel's in the background, yo.
Yeah, shout out J Rebel, yo.
Yeah, that was J Rebel there. We were doing a Restore Pride show. That was this one here is I was opening up for a Tribe Called Red when they just first started coming out. That was C's Swift in the background. Little things I used to do.
It's amazing.
That was for the kids, man. Hunting, doing some smudging. Word. Yeah, that was oh, this one that's in College Park. The top stairs there. I was supposed to go shopping for my kid at Metro, and I ended up just dancing instead.
Yeah. Why not try to do both? This is amazing, man. You're killing it.
The kid, bro. And she's like, Dad, where's my food? And I'm like, I'm kind of busy dancing. That's in Ryerson. The hallway there in Kerr Hall West, I think.
Nice.
That was, yeah, there's me. I'm supposed to be cooking dinner, but like, yeah, there. Yeah.
Cooking it up on the floor. What? That move was sick on the knees.
Yeah. This was more influenced by MZK with the hand styles and the jerks and burns and boyoings. Yeah. I was supposed to be cooking, but here I am just cooking it up on the floor instead.
That's what's
up,
man.
That's amazing, man.
Quick little sample, man. The brother doing the thing. You know what I mean? Like real hip hop, man, bringing in the elements. I wanted to kind of touch on, just kind of change gears a little bit, man. But you mentioned about you're b-boy and you're supposed to be get to do some shopping with your daughter, and she's just on some like, yo, like what are you dealing with? And you're like, yo, I'm busy. But I just want to talk about like the elements of like fatherhood, yo, because you're someone who I see as like myself, like we're really prominent, we're active fathers. Always see photos of you doing your thing, and we're talking about like the element of just spending time. You know what I mean? So like, with everything going on, like, like what elements of, I guess, like, like healing and the energy that you receive from spending time with your daughter, yo.
I see myself. I see a younger me, and the things that I didn't receive when I was a young one, coming up. There's like, yeah, you want to give your kid like the element of surprise. So for me, it's like I like to just talk with her and like, well, she's a young lady now, and so for me as an Indigenous father to a young becoming of, it's very it's a sacred bond. I mean, there's things that I wish I could do better, and there's things I'm obviously good at, and I love to be out with her, and I love to show her. I like to share stories. I like to do art with her. Like, she's an artist. She schools me, and like sometimes it's like like you know how they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? But like, you know, and you know, the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yep.
So she surprises me with just things that I didn't know, I didn't even know about, I didn't even have a thought about, and she schools me on things. She tells me about things that I had no clue about. And there's she's looking over there. Anyways,
that's amazing.
I just want to like, I want to try to keep things like short and concise here, because I do have to get back to my day here.
Appreciate you, brother.
We've had a wonderful conversation, brother. Thank you so much for everything you've shared, Robi. Like we had good stuff, not so good stuff. It's been real.
Asking the question as I need to actually go answer to it right now. So
cool.
How about that?
And yo, I did see Exterminate the Brutes. I'll tell other people to watch it. It's phenomenal. I totally agree. It's a mind blowing.
The director Raoul Peck, he's definitely like, I've did a little bit of research, and this came out. I was watching Democracy Now, and it came up, and I was like, what? I got to go check this out. And then me and Sharpie Shane, my homeboy, you know, he's a b-boy too. Shout outs to him. You know, he was like, yo, we got to check it out. And I was like, well, we have HBO, so we started watching. I'm only into the second episode.
Okay.
But everything, these are things that are like, you know, the untold history that are very important, and like it's prevalent today in our society. And there was one thing I just had a thought.
Okay.
When you're talking about humanity and like roles and cultures and states, people, and just the patriarchal shit is like, it's like people always think about their rights, but they don't talk about their responsibility. Because having rights is a responsibility, and it's also a privilege, right? Because this could be fucking stripped away from us at any day. And so even like, okay, I'm a treaty indigenous person. I think that's my right, but like, no, you have to have a responsibility with that right, and to know that it's only a privilege according to whom or what, the fucking government or whatever. But like, I'm sorry for my language, but like, hey, this is real shit.
That's all you fucking want.
We gotta think more about our responsibilities to our rights. Because like, be like a Karen all you want. You know, I'm talking about the Karen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
I'm calling those ones out too. Whatever.
Yes.
But the only Karen I want is the one from Goodfellas. I'm just anyways,
well, yeah. I know that, you know, we don't want to keep you too long. I know you got, you know, daddy duties and all that good stuff, but like, is there any last, like, no words or any messages, man, that you want to leave us with, man? Any thoughts that we should, you know, be sitting with and thinking about?
Less talking, more rocking.
There we go, man. Get down to action time, you know.
All right.
Responsibility, yo.
Keep it short and concise, as I said. Love you.
Thank you so much, J. Robi, for everything you've given us. Thank you, brother. Peace to your family. May your little girl be good. And yo, I hope you have a good dinner tonight, brother.
I already ate it. Brother. Yeah, man. Peace.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah.
All
right.
I'm out.
Peace, y'all. Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah,
that
man,
was
that's the
dope. That
brother.
was dope.
Brother
Hey,
Jay
real
Roby.
quick,
What's up?
real quick, I just want to give a shout out to our heads in the comment section because it's blowing
Yeah,
up
been seeing
hard.
them going on. Yeah, once you go through that real quick.
Karina, Righteous, Maria. Yo, thank you very much for all you have to say. We're very you know, having J Roby on the conversation there. I wish we could get everybody in, but yo, Maria, straight up, we are very much happy to have J Roby on here. And yes, Karina, yes, I very much agree with what you say about
Yeah.
colonial
Salute.
governments are murderers, and it's all for economic growth. And there's no such thing as perpetual growth. Like there's limits to life. Like capitalism can't expand forever. These people are greedy and insane. Like, yo,
Mm,
we can't keep robbing the earth. Like there's going to be an end to oil. There is an end to there's limits to this stuff. So we gotta replenish it. We have to, we have to recycle it, which is why life is a cycle, which is why we go back to go forward.
exactly, man. But for us, like, it's really important just to give space to, like, our indigenous brothers, and like I said, like, I just find it interesting that, like, we're entering and today is the first day of National Indigenous Heritage Month, which I just thought is really timely with everything going on, and I'm really curious to know how the government of Canada is going to acknowledge this month. I'm really curious to know, like, what they're going to say. I don't know if they've already said anything, but I'm really curious to see, like, what that's going to look like. And this is something that we should all be thinking about. And like I said, like, when Canada Day comes through, like, I don't know, I feel uncomfortable, like, I really do, and
Oh, no doubt.
like these are things that we all should be thinking about, because just like our brother said, with that privilege, that those rights, there's a responsibility that come with that, and
Mhm.
and that is something that we need to take serious, so it's so those are some things that I'm definitely going to be sitting with and thinking about, like what is our own, like, integrity, within ourselves, like how do we show up, for others, for humanity, if this is what we talk about people coming here for freedoms and liberties, escaping different negative situations from their homeland, or coming here for whatever reasons, for a so-called better life and whatnot, but at the expense of who, right? These are things
That's
that,
always a question.
and and as they say, like, follow the money, that's always, follow those breadcrumbs, see where it leads. But you want to know what's up, like, follow the money. Never fails,
Mhm.
every single time.
Every
Like,
time
there's no
dealing with
reason.
post-slavery. I don't mean post-slavery. I mean like remixed slavery and
Well,
capitalism is what we got, because we're not
that's
out of slavery. It's just psychological and still kind of sort of
well,
physical with prisons, but like it's just mental now. So, and
yeah.
yo, they just benefiting, like whether it's the cop system that benefits or the prison industrial complex or just whatever. These
Well,
people are
for
benefiting
me,
from it.
it's like when we talk about, like, systems of oppression, when we talk about, like, systemic racisms and systemic genocide and all these different terms, like, this is what we're talking about, and it's kind of sad that it took 215 like bodies of children, like skeletons of children, for people to be like, hold on, something is eerily, like, wrong here, like there's something wrong. And I believe that the last residential school was closed in like in the 90s, like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so we have people who've gone through the residential school system that are still alive, like, so this isn't distant history. It's like it's still lingering, and what I also been really meditating on is, like, how, like, indigenous culture, they really speak to um you know um acknowledging, like, 7 generations that came before them, and 7 generations that are to come. It's
Mhm.
and when I think about, like, these children, that were discovered, it reminds me of this quote that I saw online somewhere, and I can't remember who said it though, but it was like, they buried us, not realizing that we were seeds. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And
That's
now we're
such a
seeing
powerful quote.
the spirit, lives on. Like, these children were meant to be found. Like, these stories were meant to be told. And it is unfortunate that is being told in this capacity. But when we think of, like, lest we forget, And when we think of all these different things, you know, it's like, no, like we have to do something. We got to do something about it, right?
No
So
doubt. Like, you know, like if we are, with all due respect, this is said in love of all humanity, but you know, we lived in a world, and I'll just parallel a little deeper. They were talking about 9/11, never forget, and they're talking about, you know, never forget the Holocaust. And it's like, okay, sure, if we're not going to
yeah,
forget those tragedies, then let's never forget 215 children being buried. Let's not forget 20 million, possibly 30 million African people killed in the Ma'afa. And, you know, it wasn't the slave trade. It was the great, I don't even think of it as slavery anymore. I saw a video
yeah,
online where like, this was a war. This was an economic war on Africa.
yes,
You
yeah,
declared war, and you just, like, they weren't slaves. They were prisoners of war. That's been a
right,
reframing
right,
of
right,
history. And I'm like, yeah,
right,
yo, you took Africans and dragged them to America and made them work like they were prisoners of war, not
indeed,
slaves. So it's
yeah.
like, yo, you know, how are we going to forget that? How are we going to, you know, if you don't want
Well,
us, if we're not supposed to forget tragedy, there is so much
right.
tragedy that we need to keep in mind still.
Yeah. And, you know, again, like this is, like I said, you know, like when we talk about these systems and privileges and, you know, patriotism and, you know, this type of pride, like this is the foundation that is built on, you know, and it's disgusting. Like it really is, you know, like we really
Mhm.
need to like put more value on human life. You know, we really need to be focused more on dignity, you know, integrity. And, you know, I really feel like that's the only way for us to get to a place of harmony that I feel we all desire. Like who doesn't want, you know, that kind of alignment within their lives, you know, like not just when you're in your little bubble, because as we know, like when it's time's up, like that bubble can be burst. But I truly feel that there is a way for an alignment, but it's going to require a lot of honesty within ourselves, you know, like everybody, you know, like there's a lot of like cognitive dissonance happening, you know, being confronted with something that's going to like, you know, change your reality. We have to be okay with that. You know,
Yeah,
we can't be afraid of truth, right? And that's just the space that I'm at right now, you know, where
it's
yeah,
powerful.
truth is going to be uncomfortable. You know, I may not like it straight up, but it's necessary. It's very necessary, you know. So that's where we at right now, and this is like what the whole, you know, point of Sankofa is, you know. Like a lot of the times people don't want us to dig in the past because they want to hide it, they want to forget it, they want to bury it. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? But what it is now, it's like, you know, we go into the past to really understand our current circumstances. You know what I mean? It's like sociology teaches us that. You know what I mean? Like we don't look at a homeless person and be like, okay, who's this bum or whatever. From a sociological mindset, you're like, okay, well, what are the series of events that led up to this particular moment? You know, oh, he started off
Absolutely.
having a job, something happened in his life, got, you know, laid off, whatever the case, like, and then he got
Doesn't have, yeah, yeah, doesn't have family in town, didn't have enough
right,
savings to like saved up. Landlord didn't
exactly,
give them care, so they're like, yo, I got 1 month left in this spot, couldn't find a solution. All their stuff is on the corner.
right,
The start of a homeless life. Like it all comes from somewhere. Absolutely. It's not,
yeah,
and it's not like at any point these can be like we can all disconnect from it. It's like actually go back to be like, look at what company that person might have worked at and how many
yeah,
people, how many families that one company going out of business might affect how many families, how many of them were like single fathers or single mothers working at that place, and how many people lost their pensions, or how many people lost their savings when that bank or something or whatever went out of business because one
yeah.
person did some corrupt stuff. So everybody's affecting everybody. It's not like Europeans can come to North America and be like, yeah, nothing's here. We're just going to set up this city and all these societies. And like, we're not trampling underneath any bodies, or we're not setting up these cities on top of other cultures that were here. Like, no, they
Yeah.
were here. People were here
And
and they're still here, and
yeah,
it's all like it's all coming through. So
and I think one of the main things for me is like this deliberate attempt at like erasing history. You know, like that is a very common thing, you know, that I've really been paying close attention to. You know, from whether we want to talk about, you know, slavery or indigenous folks or what's happening in the Middle East, like there's a common theme of like deliberate attempts at erasing history, you know, as
mhm,
if people never existed at all. And as we know, you know, like when they say like, you know, the like history is being told like through the eyes of like the conqueror. You know, they get to rewrite history and, you know, make them look in a certain way. That's great, you know. But now we're in the age of information, where like, yo, everything's out there. It's hidden in plain sight. You can do a simple Google search and find all kinds of truths. You know, it's not like once upon a time where, you know, we would get slaughtered for attempting to read, because they knew with having the knowledge what that would do. We would start asking questions, and that's why even someone like myself, I've come to a place where, you know, it's not even really about me having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions, you know? So anyone who follows me on Facebook knows like I stay doing that. I just put out questions. So I'm like, what do y'all think about this? And let's just have a discussion about it. And I've noticed, you know, like what posts get comments and what posts don't, but that's okay though. We'll leave that. But it is interesting though. You know, it is interesting. You know, and how sometimes like the quest for truth can be offensive. You know, I get some DMs from some folks that, you know, I respect, and I see that they're coming from an emotional place, and I'm like, I hear you, but I'm seeking truth. Like, yeah, I'm emotional too, but I'm not going to let that cloud my vision. You know,
that's it. Like we
draw with that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I love that, because no matter how difficult it is, it's so beautiful when you're not alone in a moment of truth. When you have you're like, yo, I'm gonna have a moment of truth, confess what I know, what matters to me, and what my values and my beliefs are. And it's like, can we have an honest discussion about this? I'm asking a question, trying to find the truth about something that I don't know. What do you think? What can you share? Are you going to show up in this moment of truth when we're asking, why does this happen to our people? Why haven't we sought this justice? What are the obstacles to this? And like, we got to ask some dark questions sometimes, some difficult questions. And it's like, yo, if you don't show up with the truth to answer that question, then you're like lying or avoiding or spin doctoring it, or giving some propaganda, or just, you're just like, as you were saying, you're not being of your word, which is, the African principle is.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so interested in truth. Like, I'm a truth seeker, you know, I can't help it. Like, I'm super inquisitive, always ask questions, and, you know, that's where it is. And, you know, like, the truth needs no cosign. You know, it's something I've been saying a lot, because like, it stands by itself. It'll be the truth today, the truth 6,000 years from ago, the truth 6,000 years from now. The lies got to keep being remixed. You know, each generation will be told something new, but that truth's still there. Like those babies, you know what I mean? That's truth. It's the harsh truth. It's the ugly truth. But guess what? It doesn't need no cosign. It's there. Like you see Wagwan. You know what I mean? But the truth definitely brings forth more questions. You know, it's like, who are these? Who these children had names. These children were connected to families. Their stories. Where are those families? Are they still around? They must have been looking for them. What were these families told about these kids that happened to them? What they ran away and couldn't find them, or something? There's so many more questions in the quest for truth.
That's absolutely it. How do you send your child to school one day and have them never come home from school? Like, imagine that. Like, your school killed them? Like, what the hell? I mean, it's there's no comparison, but it's just like, it's like people dying in jail, or, certain places where it's like, this is where the government and a civilized society is supposed to semi-protect the person, or at least have a process where it doesn't end in death. Like, yo, what is this? And how are these people not punished to the most extreme example conceivable? Like, that is genocide. That's mass murder. Hundreds of bodies. Like, the principals and teachers of this school and anybody who economically benefited from it should set levels of serious punishment. What the hell? This is insane.
And I think one of the most disturbing things too is like, this was all in the name of God. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's crazy. When you really take it in. Like, the manipulation of energy, the manipulation of like certain, teachings and whatnot, for vile and malicious intentions. There's no other way to put it. It's actually like disgusting, and I can see why people would want to avoid being confronted, because like, how do you explain it? You can't. You know what I mean? Like you can't. You know, it's embarrassing.
It is.
It's demonic.
It is absolutely demonic. It's savage. It is. It's
civilized.
It's uncivilized. Like when you were talking about integrity and honesty, I was like, all of these things lead to something that we all are looking for and we all deserve, which is humanity. And it's like, until Africans are treated with full humanity and Indigenous people are treated with full humanity, and all of these people, whatever, poor Black people, homeless people, veterans, whatever oppressed people we're dealing with, until they're given their full humanity, we are not done yet. This isn't a civilized nation yet, and there's not justice or truth happening yet. So it's like, where's the humanity in 215 fucking children? I heard there's like a kid as young as 3 years old in that. And like, what the fuck kind of inhumane action are you burying a 3-year-old child that just tried to go to school? Like, what the fuck are we dealing with?
I think,
and it's like, this is in Canada. Like, Canada, what kind of monsters are you? What kind of?
For me, like, the most hurtful thing is like, like, these kids were not meant to be found, Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were not meant to be found, and not to mention, that's just one school. I don't even have to ask, Like, I saw this post earlier, like a meme, and there had a map of all the different residential schools. And the people were saying, like, I have no problem with using taxpayer money to, like, search these locations to figure out what's going on. And I agree with that. I have no problem with that. You know what I mean? I have no problem. Please. We send money to, like, other countries, I'm going to leave it at that. Millions, of dollars that go outward, to be involved in situations that are not necessarily about us, but we have stuff that's happening right here. Like right here. And, again, this is in the name of truth and in the name of healing. The indigenous peoples of this land have been super patient with us, have been always educating, wanting to remind us of being connected to the planet, to each other, having that peace, forever. I've been on the reservations. I've been in the trenches with my indigenous brothers and sisters, and I've sat with the elders, whether it's here, whether it's in Quebec, whether it's in Nova Scotia, whether it's in Saskatoon. I've been in these spaces and I've seen the love and care every single time. So I know it's not just a one-off. Like, this is a cultural way of being. So when J. Robi is talking about a culture that takes care of itself, these are the foundations that I experience. And, it just has me, like, reflecting. I know people may see me and I'm like, yeah, I do a lot in community and whatnot, but I'm like, nah, there's still a lot more that I could be doing, So,
hey, you do. That's just your big heart. And, we always dream of doing more, and, we always want to be building upwards and onwards, which is great. But, definitely we appreciate you for what you do already and what you have done before. So, we can't forget that, and we can't ignore that. So thank you. But yes, we want to help one person, then 10, then 1,000, then 1,000,000 for sure. And, if we can help 1 billion, that will be wonderful. But, like, we just go until we can't go. And, like, the last thought, like, shout out to Sabrina. Like, Sabrina and Maria and Colleen in the comments have been really just dropping super jewels. Definitely got to agree with, like, Sabrina. She was saying that the children of the families that were taken from the residential schools, the families were cut off from the rations and they couldn't. So it's just like, what kind of trap that you put it in? You have to give your kids to the government to receive certain kind of benefits, and then if you try to rescue your child when you might have heard that, hey, my neighbor's kid didn't come home, and, like, there's been 9 kids that didn't come home from school this week, like, what the hell? And they're like, oh, you can't, you have to keep sending your kid to the school, or else we're going to cut you off of the measly government rations that we've been giving you after exploiting your people. Like, this is the insane. The catch-22 that this Babylon puts us in, where it's like, they're like, all right, well, you're free from slavery, but we're not going to send you back to Africa. We just leave you to fend on the own here in a land that hates you. Like, that's what Africans got.
Well, so just to add on to that, I mean, it's kind of crazy because, again, when we look at systems, when we look at the RCMP, I mean, like, they were literally created for the indigenous peoples, you know. Like when we look at, child services, the literal foundation of it is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the history is dark, and sometimes, like truth is stranger than fiction.
That is one of the most powerful sayings that like the amount of pictures and companies and families and people that we don't know who really benefited from actual real world hard slavery and oppression, the amount of devices of torture that we don't know about, the methods and savage things that were really done to our people, we have no idea. And some of them have never been shown in movies or in books because some people were just so scared to talk about it. Like, we never want to discuss this ever again. And like, I mean, I know one thing I'll just throw out there. I like the kind of shock value of the word, but when I learned where the term motherfucker came from, I'm like, yo, there's a reason why I don't use the N-word in my life, but I kind of should not say motherfucker, because that came from actual slaves being forced to impregnate their mothers to keep up the quota of slaves. Slaves are like, you need to birth babies constantly. So we're going to have fathers sleeping with daughters and sons sleeping with mothers. And that happened. It's like, yo, like, this is fucking insane. But that's the origin of the word motherfucker. This is where we come from.
It's crazy. Like I said, like these foundations are the foundations of, the societies and places that we exist in, and we need to unpack a lot. That's why, Sankofa again, the more we build, man, the more we have conversations, the more I really see power in that word. And, I can even say the fact that we keep using it is why we're drawing this energy towards us and really seeing the power in it and the importance and significance, right? Because once you have this understanding, then we can make some changes. We got to understand like the cause, we've been studying like the effects a lot. You know what I mean? We got to get down to the roots of the problem,
Always.
Cut it out like a cancer or something, like man, and get right into
cancer,
it. Right?
That's weed. Oh, it's all about the cause and the origin. Got to know where things came from, which is why we're always doing Sankofa, to know where it came from, to know where the hell we're going. And like, yo, you said it, like, we're not gonna solve none of these, like dealing with the leaves of the tree of racism. We're not like, yo, we gotta get past the branches and like right to the root. Like, we gotta uproot racism in people's brains and society's foundations as a whole, or else it's just gonna develop in a new way next year and just pop up on the internet and pop up in some other place in some other dumb way on some other dumb TV show and some other stupid song. It's like, yo, these people didn't learn yet that this ain't cool. Like, what the hell? So,
word, yo.
So yo, I shout out in the comment section, everybody. Yo, Kwame, good to see you, King. Yes, Maria and everyone, thank you very much for being here. I'm gonna bounce in a minute. What?
You have a flyer for us, man? What you got, man?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that, man. Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me.
Yo, who's on your shirt?
I don't know if I pulled out this one yet, but this was another Raekwon show.
Okay.
This was a Raekwon show. Well, I'm pretty sure that he did Cuban Links. He's done Cuban Links from start to end maybe 2 or 3 times in Toronto. I think I've seen 2 of them. But they had Ramos had a series called the Legend series, like, what was it? The Living Legend series of some sort. And yeah, like they had some legends come through and do the full album. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, Raekwon did. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, performing all of Cuban Links live. I don't know if you can't.
Yeah, we got you, man.
Yeah, so he did that, and it was fun. But yeah, good times. Looks like we're gonna have some concerts soon. Oh, yo, last quickly, just to be on a bit of a lighter note. While we're talking about it, the 1-year anniversary of Versus happened on Sunday, and it was Swizz Beatz and Timbaland. And I mean, it was, as the production values have been increasing, this was like the biggest of all. They were on a stage together, They weren't wearing masks, but I'm just hoping and assuming everyone was COVID tested, which, you know, at the
Right.
Red and Meth one, they said, yeah, we all got COVID tested. So,
Yeah.
it was Timbaland and Swizz on a stage, and they're like doing tag team songs together. And for this verses, they had a crowd of maybe 300 people. Like, it wasn't
Oh,
just it was a crowd. It was
okay.
a concert.
I'm gonna have to go in the archives and check that out then, man. Word.
Yeah, so not only I'm saying that, like, they had a crowd of people there, so it was like, yo, Versus is now like a concert show for real. And not only that, but there were some moments where they panned to the crowd, and Rick Ross was there, Fabulous was there, Busta
Jeez.
Rhymes was there, Nas was
Okay.
there.
Alright.
Yeah, so like they would cut to, like, oh my God, I'm seeing, like, they played New York shit, and they cut to Busta Rhymes in the crowd, and Busta's rapping along. I'm like, oh God, I haven't seen this or felt this or heard this happen in a year. So it's
Telling you.
like, it feels like it's slowly, and none of them were wearing masks. Hopefully they all fucking got tested or are vaccinated up. But it was just like a
Yeah.
regular concert, and it seems to be
Yo,
about
man.
to happen again.
I'm gonna be real with you, man. Like, yo, like Miami and Atlanta, like it's kind of like it's been business as usual, man. Like I've seen even throughout the whole pandemic, footage on my timeline. I'm like, y'all are really going hard. Like I'm
Hard,
talking
yeah.
like,
You're right.
like
This was in
full
Miami, and
crowd,
they were like, no fucks given.
yeah, man, like full crowd, like people on stage, like it's a regular show. Like how me and you would be on stage chilling with the artists. You know what I mean? Like regular. I'm just like, aren't we in a pandemic, y'all? Like what's going on, yo? But hey,
Yeah,
it is what it is. Everybody do their thing.
no
But
doubt.
yes, we definitely want to get back to those spaces. We've been talking about concerts for a while, and I promise, man, we'll be taking the Reminisce Show live at concerts. You know what I mean? So we'll be able to give you all some really exclusive content and some experiences. So we're looking forward to that. But yo, that concludes our session for today, man. Real powerful, man. We're just giving spaces to our Indigenous brothers and sisters. Who knows, man? Maybe we may have another special guest next week. We're definitely connected to the people, and we really want to use our platform to for healing, man, for connection and deeper understanding. So that's what it is, man. Sankofa, man, to go back to collect what we may have forgotten. And to not feel guilty for it, man. People may want to distract us and tell us, why? Just leave it in the back. It's like, no. This is important. This is important.
No, we are going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Tulsa and all the survivors and all the forgotten souls, and we are not going to ignore that. Absolutely. No, if you want people to ignore history that matters, go to another show, because this is called the Reminisce Show, and we thank all the people in our past who gave us content and truth so we can celebrate it today, because that's what we do.
There we go. Or sometimes, other terms may be helpful for people, and, lest we forget.
Lest we forget, for real. There's so many ways that people done try to teach us, and if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going. You don't know your past, you don't know your future. So
that's it, man.
This is just, I heard that when I was like 11 years old, and I'm like, that's just a dumb little saying. And it's like, hell no, bro. These guide your life, or else you're gonna wake up lost and not knowing nothing when you're 50 years old.
Go, man.
And then just have to catch up.
Stand firm, stand strong, yo. All right, man. So we see y'all next week, man. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. for the Reminisce Show, man. Reminisce, and we out.
Peace.